Hello, my name is James Wassam, and today I'll be presenting my research proposal. A little bit of background on me. I'm prior military, and the population that I work with now and that I plan to work with in the future once I've obtained my LPC is the military population and their families. So a majority of the research that I did when coming up with this research proposal is aimed at the military population and their families and what affects them predominantly on a daily basis. So through this, I read several articles that dealt with depression and anxiety, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, comorbidities of all of those things. And what I kept coming back around to is the management of care for individuals in the military. And when I started doing more research about depression and anxiety, things started popping up, gaps in research for depression. And as stated by Brown and the other authors that worked with him on a 2019 article, they spoke about how depression is a mental illness that affects millions around the world. The treatment and the management for depression and the symptoms are topics that have long been studied by researchers, and they've resulted in developing new and improved methods of managing mental illness, self-management care, and then care through professional help. One of the main gaps in research that I came around to was, do service members get different training on dealing with symptoms of depression that those in the civilian sector do not? Part of that question came from an article written by Shackelford et al. In 2019, and in that article they talk about how individuals with extensive military service typically have developed coping mechanisms to allow them to deal with depressive symptoms more effectively on a daily basis. So the proposal for my research and the way that it worked out here is, that's the research question. Do individuals who have military service self-manage depressive symptoms? Are they better equipped to do that? So with that research question in mind, I set forth on setting out a proposal on how that could be measured. And what I came up with is a quantitative measurement, and it's conducted through experimental laboratory procedures. For my proposed test, it would be done with two methods. It would be done with experimental laboratory method, and that would include things such as scans with scans such like fMRIs, and then the other part of that would be a quasi-experimental survey, and that would be conducted within laboratory settings, and it would be surveys that have proven in the past to get good results, such as the Beck's Depressive Inventory, the BDI, and so that would be given it'd be given pre and post treatment, and those results would be measured and then scored on a t-test, for instance. And so those were the two methods that I came up with: be done experimental lab and then quasi-experimental lab. The experimental lab would focus on scans, things that could be visualized and seen and measured, such as fMRIs, and then the quasi-experimental surveys would be conducted by the Beck Depression Inventory, and it would be a pre and post, and those numbers would be measured and the results would be given there. For the implementation of this research, going back on this, the hypothesis of this, the hypothesis would set out that the study would have, the null hypothesis would be that the study would have no remarkable difference that would be found in the effects of depression symptoms between the groups of veterans and non-veterans, meaning that whatever training had been received by the veterans, that wouldn't make any noticeable difference in how they handle depressive symptoms. So the integration on this would be that if it is found that service members have developed coping mechanisms for this, it would be then to set forth and teach the population at large, those that haven't benefited from the experience of military training, to show them how to utilize these techniques that have been taught in the military, these coping mechanisms, and help individuals who haven't served or individuals who have but have not developed these techniques to better understand what they could do to mitigate depressive symptoms so that they can minimize the effect that that's having in their life. And that's going to help them down the line, even if they're receiving professional treatment, if they're receiving counseling, they're still going to benefit from self-managed techniques that will help them suppress or control some of the depressive symptoms that they're experiencing on a daily basis. Thank you.